be still even considered and recommended to the board. Closing LHS would not rally two high schools together, but send hundreds of students and staffs out of the district for better opportunities. Thank you for listening. Please choose to keep my school open.
My name is JC Jackson. I'm a junior at Lafayette. I want to speak about my concerns for the effects that closing the schools will have on my senior year and the future years of the students in this district. I understand that a decision must be made and that closing schools would help us save money and deals with issues of lowering enrollment. But before any final decision is made, we need to make sure it's the right decision based on information and fact, not opinion and persuade judgment. Closing a school isn't something that can be undone. It affects students, teachers, and families and communities as a whole. If we rush into it without all the facts, the risk of making a choice that harms more than helps increases greatly. Have all the options truly been looked into? Have you listened to the students, parents, and staff? Are we really going by the numbers? Are we taking the time and thinking thoroughly through this? If we don't take the time needed, this could end in us wondering if we truly made the right decision. Every school is more than just a building. It's where students connect, gain support, and add to years of love and history. If we close schools, we will lose these communities forever. So I'm asking our district to pause, gather all the information, listen to the people who know the schools best. Thank you again, and I hope you all take a minute and think so that the correct decisions can be made.
Tonight I'm supposed to be down at Columbia, being recognized as being named Northwest Regional Teacher of the Year. I did decline that invitation as I figured there was more important things to discuss. So here I am. I truly do believe in the powerful statement that was shared last week. The educator makes all the difference, and we are hurting. I have never worried about our culture this much. Now I can only speak for the buildings that are closing, losing our colleagues to become family and students we see as our own. I did brace myself for the year as the message was loud and clear at our convocation. One team, everyone in the same gray t-shirt. Any identity or pride we had in a place where many of us spend more hours in our own homes was taken away from us. I do believe in the power of one team, but I know the families we create in our schools, not just with each other, but with our kids. The secret handshakes, the morning hugs, the squeals of I can't wait to be in your room. Our schools come together with a common mission every day. Make the best day for our kids. And we do that, but right now we are running on fumes. I think we forget that inside those buildings are humans. The demands are high, stress is added, and the resources are limited. For mistakes that are not ours to shoulder, I love my job when I'm in my room. It's when I open the door. Right now we're worried about our students, our colleagues, and ourselves, probably in that order. So I stand before you not knowing what to do, but please remember us. The ones who stuck around and poured so much into this district, into these kids. The common answer with the younger teachers this year, and really the past few years, when things get tough, I'm going home. They're going home. They got some experience and now they're marketable to other districts. This is my home. My house is off St. Joe Avenue. I was raised on 15th and Pacific, and I'm a proud Lafayette graduate, but I'm tired and I know I'm not alone. My oldest is the middle school counselor in the Blue Springs district. SJST was not even a consideration, and I'll tell you why. Not because of pay, not because of buildings, but solely due to the instability of the dark, clouded message. We're going to shut your buildings down. No young teacher wants to come here and be uprooted, or even worse, not have a job. This has been a message for so many years, and we wonder what the problem is. Many of us stand before you asking for help 2 years ago. A possible 4-day work week at Hail Mary, not because we wanted it, but we worked every day knowing something had to happen. We were not listened to. Please stop and listen. Listen to our community, listen to your teachers, listen to these brave kids. So I stand before you again today to truly think about what's best moving forward, to take my teacher hat off and put my mom hat on. 900 kids in a Northside middle school is not okay for my 6th grader. I'm going to continue real fast. I know my family has options, and I know I sit in privilege when I say that. So please consider the hundreds of others I love like my own that do not have that privilege. Move forward, but make it fair, make it equitable, do the right thing. Your students and teachers are counting on you, all of us.
Thank you.
Good evening, members of the board, community, and administration. My name is Cassandra Gill, and I ask not to share my address due to professional reasons. I come before you tonight not just as a concerned citizen, but as someone deeply frustrated by the process that has unfolded around the proposed consolidation and closure of buildings in our district. Over the past several weeks, our community has shown up, parents, students, staff, all speaking passionately and thoughtfully about the impact these decisions will have on our children, our schools, and our neighborhoods. Students have voiced concern not only for themselves, but for their peers and younger siblings. Staff have asked critical questions, and yet many of those questions remain unanswered. Questions that are essential to making an informed, responsible decision. What's most troubling is the administration's insistence on urgent change due to a financial crisis, only to recommend a plan that is the least fiscally responsible, the most disruptive to students, and displaces more staff than any other option. For what purpose? It feels not only misguided, it feels insulting. The administration has pushed a false narrative to the public yet again, provided the board with inaccurate and delayed information, often retroactively after decisions have already been made, and yet still seeks board approval. That is not transparency. That is not accountability. I also want to take a moment to thank those of you on the board who have listened, responded, and validated the concerns and emotions of your constituents. Your engagement matters, and I especially want to thank the board president, LaTanya Williams. You carry the weight of this role, often alone, and cannot make any final decision without the support of at least 3 other votes. You do a thankless job for the children and staff of this district, and I want you to know that my family sees you. To our staff, thank you. You continue to show up for our children every single day, despite heartbreak and uncertainty. We see you, the public sees you, and we thank you. Right on the school board's own page, the first board norm reads, put the needs of the students, teachers, and staff first. I urge you to remember that tonight when you vote. The current plan being pushed by the administration comes from a team that includes multiple members who do not live in this district or send their own children here. But you, the board, were elected by this community, and it is your duty to represent us and do what is right by us. We are all watching, and we will all remember how each of you vote tonight. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Alex Beal, 3rd generation resident, 4th attending schools. My family has had 3 members retire in this district, and I've always voted for the schools. That said, I use public engagements. I use my skills.
Excuse me, I'm going to interrupt you. If you can move a little closer to the microphone, please. Thank you.
I've used my skill, I've sharpened over the years of being a father of 4. I've listened and watched at the same time. I've listened to the community and watched the board as their actions. Because actually it's valuable words. As communities pour their hearts out at their passion for the schools, I've watched board members slouching in their chairs, blinking, staring blankly ahead. I've seen some smile as people spoke almost in tears, as if they enjoyed the misery of others. And emailed staff members about better plans that they have made or allowed their husbands to harass other members of the board. I see most of you more interested in your other things, happening on your phone, drinks, or staring across the room blankly. In the meetings I've attended, some moments of wasted time stood out to me. Some have argued the book should be banned so they can walk to their church on Sunday to feel like they made a difference while their pastor breaks Missouri election laws. Some give more pointless gratitudes than actually ask questions that haven't already been answered. Some flip-flopped on beliefs and votes because they don't see how the board should follow through. Others have tried to remove the president the same week my uncle your mentor passed away, leaving no time to mourn. Some failed to even do their job and have lost 7 figures with funding. Latonya Whitney, Dr. Headsforth, thank you for your attention. Thank you for giving these people the respect they deserve. Members of the community, you ones that can't vote, if we're going to vote for people that are backed by a corporation or backed by a Christian Nationalist church, we're going to put people in Jeff City that are going to gut our public education. We're going to people in Washington, D.C. that are going to do the same thing. We're part of the problem. That's part of the reason why we're in this situation. As for being the 4th generation that's in schools, will be the last one of my family that goes here. This day will be taking this over, whether for financial or testing issues, historically shown it's going to happen. But like I said, Latonya, Whitney, Export, thank you for your time. The rest of you,
Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to speak this evening. My name is Katrina Smith. I live on Eastwood Drive. I'm an active duty member of the Air Force, a proud resident of St. Joe, and most importantly, a mom to 3 amazing children who all attend Bessie Ellison Elementary. While all my kids love their school, my youngest daughter, who is autistic, has especially thrived there. Ellison has been more than just a school for her. It's been a place of growth, stability, and belonging. When I moved here in 2021, I spent more than 6 months searching for a home. Every house I looked at was in the Stonecrest area because I wanted my children to attend Ellison Elementary. That decision wasn't made lightly. I chose this district based on what I heard from community members, family, and staff who spoke so highly of the school. From the moment we arrived, I knew I had found the right place for my family. Over the past year, my youngest daughter has made remarkable progress, and I give full credit to the teachers, aides, and staff at Ellison. They understand her needs, they know how to reach her, and they've built trust and consistency that have truly changed her life. Those relationships can't simply be recreated somewhere else. For children like mine, stability and familiarity aren't luxuries, they're necessities. I've heard people say that even if schools close, the district will still provide a great education no matter where students attend. With all due respect, I disagree. Education isn't just about test scores or curriculum, it's about relationships, community, and belonging. Ellison Elementary provides all of that and more. This is a high-performing school, one of the top in the district for math testing, second highest in attendance, and home to award-winning staff at both the district and state levels. Ellison isn't failing, it's thriving. Closing a school that has proven itself academically and emotionally successful doesn't strengthen our district, it weakens it. I understand that funding is a major concern, but a plan of this magnitude, one that directly affects families, communities, and taxpayer dollars, should not move forward without taxpayers being the ones to vote. Yet, the reality is that decisions like this aren't put to a public vote. They rest solely with the school board, even though the taxpayers you represent are the ones funding these schools and trusting that their voices matter. I urge you to consider what it means to make a decision of this size without direct community consent. Families who can afford to will move their children to private schools or neighboring districts like Mid-Buchanan, Savannah, or Platte County areas, or move out entirely. That doesn't just reduce enrollment, it impacts our local economy, housing values, and community stability. So tonight I ask you to look beyond the numbers and see the people, our children, our teachers, and our families who make Ellison Elementary what it is. This school represents excellence, connection, and hope. Please, let's not take that away. Please consider Plan E. Plan E is for everybody. Thank you for your time.
Hello, my name is Emily Dolgan, and I'm a senior at Lafayette High School and student body president. Today I'm not going to talk to you about statistics, I'm going to talk to you about experiences. I've lived in the South End for most of my whole life. I went to Hyde, Mansfield Garden, and I can tell you that moving to Lafayette was the best decision I've ever made. Not only is the environment amazing, but it is truly like you are part of the family. The reason I went to Lafayette is because I not only needed something new, but there was always a bunch of drama or something going on while I was in middle school. I did not want that to continue through my high school career. My sister is currently a freshman at Lafayette and chose to go there due to constant. Since being at Lafayette, she has been thriving. She's in honors classes, has a great group of friends, and has been able to get involved in a lot more things. If she or I would have gone to Benton, we wouldn't have gone the opportunities that we have gone at Lafayette. I have siblings that do go to Benton, and I can tell you they're struggling with their education. When I try to help them with stuff that I learned my freshman year, they are just now learning about it as juniors. I have a stepbrother that goes there that is a junior at Benton and struggling with his education. Last year he was failing 3 classes, and in one of the classes, the teachers just gave him extra credit so that he would pass. So instead of actually doing the work and putting in the hard work like the other students do, he's got to buy. There are also kids that come from Benton to Lafayette and struggle at first because of how more advanced our education is. I also have a brother at Hyde that this will affect as well. Because if Benton doesn't get closed down, he does not know where he will go next year and worries about it every single day. I know you think this won't affect me because I'm a senior, but it does. I am planning to become a high school biology teacher and applying for the Grow Your Own Scholarship, which means I come back here for 4 years and teach. But what will the future hold? I don't know what the future will hold or if I'll even have a job, depending on what decision you choose. The teachers at Lafayette have also done so much over the years for all of us students and make it a priority to make every one of us a person and not a number. Thank you for your time and please choose Plan 2.
Hello, my name is Julie Salisbury and I teach at Bessie Ellison Elementary. You've heard from our staff, students, families, and community members. You've heard how this decision will affect real people. I understand that you need to make budget cuts, and I know this proposal might look good on paper, but please think about what it's doing to people's lives. High school students have spoken about what they stand to lose, their class rank, sports, music programs, and long-standing traditions. Your own impact analysis says it all. 4,792 lives will be displaced, most of them students. That doesn't include all of the families and students and staff families that will be impacted. Adults can adapt more easily, but our students have already shared their worries and mental health struggles. They're afraid of larger environments, longer bus rides, and being separated from friends and family. They fear more bullying and feeling less safe. Change is never easy, but this kind of disruption will be long-lasting. I beg you to please vote no.
Hello, my name is Owen Zide, and I'm a junior at Lafayette. Although I feel you have made a decision already, but I ask for you, for the community's sake, that you really look at Plan A. Give it a legit chance, not just for us students at Lafayette, but for all of the students in the school district. Please take the time to consider it. Also, why does this big decision need to be made tonight? Whatever you guys decide, just know you are all making a major impact in a negative way on us students and staff. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Michelle Zide. I am a Bishop LeBlanc graduate and my husband is a Central graduate. We are the proud parents of 2 Lafayette graduates and 1 current junior, one that just spoke. I do not understand why this administration did not inform the board of the public or the public that the district failed to submit documentation which led to a delay in $10 million in federal funds. This brought on part of the catastrophic financial need to cut back quick. Well, from what I hear, we have received that money now and shouldn't be forced to act so quickly, making such huge changes. It is easy for you to make these decisions, providing this option to the board, when you do not have kids attending St. Joseph Public School System. Well, I do. My son Owen will spend his senior year starting over in a new school, along with 4,000 other kids in our school, or in our city. 4,000 kids uprooted in 1 year from their friends, their teachers, their support system. That makes my head want to spin. This district's financial problems did not happen in 1 year, so how can we expect to bounce back in 1 year? The students, our kids, are the ones, along with their teachers, paying the ultimate price. You know, schools are just starting to get back from when COVID happened, all the negative aspects, and now we're going to do this? It's not just the north side that will be affected. It will be central and the south side. We know the option the administration chose. I personally know there are several families that will not be able to attend Benton next year due to where they actually live. And there should not be any exceptions. I know this sounds harsh, but why should some kids be grandfathered into the school that they love, rather it be Central or Benton, when my son's school, Lafayette, is closed to business? The administration should go to each school and form committees, talk to the kids. Kids can think outside the box, can't we? Remember, we're all here for our children. The most important thing is to give a child a good education. I know we need to do something, but we need to have a long-range plan, not something immediate with so many unknowns. My heart goes out to every junior in this town that is internal what the thought of their senior year will look like. This not only impacts people in St. Joseph students, but surrounding schools, Mid-Buchanan, Savannah, East Buchanan, North Andrew, local private and parochial schools. Get ready, folks, because your school is going to look very different next year if they go with this plan, if this passes. Put out surveys, ask families what they're going to do next year if this happens. You may find out something, you may be really surprised. All I can hope is that this board, they look at everybody. Look at these kids, all these kids, teachers. I don't know if we've ever had so much community involvement as tonight. Think about that before you make your vote. Keep in mind, lean into the microphone and speak.
My name is Jennifer Letterman. I'm a staff member and parent. Once again, I'm here to speak, and I thank you for your time. Imagine it's your junior year of high school. You've worked tirelessly since you can remember. You regularly chose staying home to study instead of hanging out with friends. You chose rewriting that essay again so that it's top notch because you worked so hard to ensure that you remain at the top of your class. You put hours upon hours of practice in because not only are your academics important to you, but so is your extracurricular life. In fact, it's earned you a potential scholarship that your family so desperately needs. What an accomplishment. Imagine then waking up one day and hearing that everything you know will be gone because of the administration that led your school district there. They didn't do their jobs. Whether it was one person or more than one person, it ultimately comes down to them, and that's why our school district's in the position it's in today. Suddenly, you're no longer at the top of your class, and everything you have worked so hard for has gone in a flash. Your senior year of high school is nothing what it should have been and what it was to be, because of oversight after oversight and lack of accountability over and over again. This will be the story of so many children in our community if you, our school board, does not put a stop to this moment of panic. There are other options. You just have to be brave enough to hold the administration accountable, find other ways to save money. Those mistakes were those of their own, not of the staff or students who are having their lives ripped apart. Accountability must fall where it's deserved. They need to go to work. They need to recover those losses. Closing schools should be a dead last decision-making process. I'm here fighting for quality education for all that will receive a quality education because their families are going to seek it out for them. It's the have-nots that I'm here speaking for. They're the ones that need to be fought for. And board, they're the ones that are going to be crammed into these classrooms shoulder to shoulder. Board, please fight for the little ones tonight. Fight for education. Remember why you wanted to sit at that table, in that seat. I hope it was for the right reasons. Prove to our city that you are there for the right reasons. Vote no tonight. It's not equitable. It's not right size. There are middle schools with 300 to 400 and a middle school with almost 900 kids. It makes no sense. At Bessie Ellison, we tell our students every single day to be brave and do hard things. Their foundations depend on learning environments like ours. Don't throw away invaluable schools like Bessie Ellison, Eugene Field, or Pershing. So tonight, board, I ask you again to do what we do every single day. We ask our kids to be brave. Do the right thing. I've been praying for each and every one of you. I know it's hard work. I don't envy your position, but be brave. Do the right thing. Hold the right ones accountable. Thank you for your time.
Seifert. I live on Riverside. I graduated from Humboldt, Truman, and Lafayette. I've lived here my whole life. My kids now go to Bessie Ellison, have their whole lives. I wanted to speak a little on Mr. Ingram's talk about broken trust. I think that follows you because we went to the polls. We told you we wanted 3 schools. We didn't want to go to 1 or 2. But you continue to bring it back to us. You continue to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars to have people plan a 1 and 2 school district when we told you we want 3. We want to stay like it is. If we need to save money, let's get rid of all these extra buildings. We now have less of a population, right? So we need less administrators. We need less money going into that. Less money going into buildings. Move the administrators into the schools that have the room. How good would it be to have the administrators in the schools, learning and looking and seeing what all is going on in the schools themselves? Wouldn't that would just be awesome. I'm not going to say I would rather Benton be closed than Lafayette or Lafayette than Benton. I'm going to tell you, vote for E. Take your time. Make sure that we're doing what you should be doing. Look at all the mistakes that have been made so far. Don't let this be a quick decision against our kids. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Thurgood Turner, and I'm a sophomore at Benton High School. It upsets me that some are coming up here and putting our school down. It is better if we are together. I have an incredible school with incredible teachers and people. I have straight A's at Benton, but I'm not sure I would have a chance to get into NHS at Central, a school with 1,900 kids. How many kids won't have a chance to play a sport, get a role in the school play, or some other opportunity that gives them a reason to come to school? I think you can see there's one thing that unites all of us, whether red, green, or blue, in this city together, and that's the pride we have for our community and our schools. We all care about progress in the future of this district, but we don't want that progress to come at the cost of literally ripping the community apart. Please go back to the drawing board. Consider Plan E and any other options that keep schools open and preserve our beloved communities. Take the time to find a solution that doesn't leave one side of the town devastated. Our schools are the heart of our community. Don't close that door on any of us. We need time. We can vote tonight, and parts of our community will feel like the lights are turned off and no one is coming home. It is time for progress, but will it be progress if we lose so many good staff and people and families? There are options. I won't pretend like I'm an expert, but I know we have passionate people willing to find those solutions. We are all St. Joseph, and this is a unique place with great people. I know we can do this together, and we have the right to get this right together, not against each other. Thank you.
I'm short, I've got to bring mine down. Let's use it. My name is Cindy Cook, and I live on Cronkite Road, located in the boundaries of Pershing, Roubidoux, and Lafayette. I graduated from Benton High School in 1975. My children all attended Roubidoux, Pershing, and Lafayette and graduated from there. I'm speaking tonight because I want to remind the board of something very specific. You are the supervising aspect of the St. Joe School District. You work for everyone who lives within the boundaries of this district. It is time for this board to realize that your responsibility is to every student and every future student in this district. We must stop prioritizing dreams of a brand new high school. We must work to get scores up and to equalize opportunities for every student. Then, and only then, will this community even begin to consider voting for a new school in any part of town. You currently have a plan before you, 7B, that does not meet any of the financial criteria that this district has said that they must have. This is a severely flawed plan. The disparity in the middle schools is dangerous. Someone decided that it was smart to have over 800 students in one middle school, 12 to 14-year-old students, where behavioral issues are a huge issue for all of the middle schools. This administration you think that's a good idea? It's not. You have another plan in front of you that is so much more what this community wants as a whole. There are only certain people that want a new school, and chances are most of them don't have their children attending school in this district. Sorry, I lost my place. Most of those people send their students to private school, outlying districts where they live, or they live in Kansas City area and they commute. Their student is not in this district. Quit listening to them. It is time for the board to put St. Joe students, every St. Joe student, first. The gerrymandering of school boundaries has been occurring for decades. In the past, it was just easy, build on to Central instead of redrawing the boundaries. This current map is a perfect example of gerrymandering. You have redrawn the boundaries of one area to send those students to Oak Grove. Normally, gerrymandering is a political tactic. In this case, it's a socioeconomic tactic. A district administrator reminded me that Smithville has a freshman building and it is only 60 yards away from other facilities on their campus. I mentioned that building is ADA compliant. It was built specifically to be a freshman campus because they had outgrown their high school. That was a decision that Smithville made, not St. Joseph. St. Joe is a unique community. We have neighborhood schools that we are all incredibly proud of and proud to claim as our own. Let's not throw the baby out with the bathwater. I encourage you to take a stand to remind this administration that they work for every student in this town. You must have the intestinal fortitude, guts, to stand up for every student and vote no on this incredibly flawed plan. Plan E is the only current plan supported by the majority of this community. If this board continues on its current path, I am willing to bet none of you will be reelected after your current term expires. Listen to your constituents. Thank you.
My name is Nancy Kelly. I live at 2837 Rennick Street. I want to thank the board for being here and listening to all of us. And I hope all your ears are open to listen to what we're saying. I want to thank the people that are out back that didn't have the courage to come up and talk. I'm addressing the board to keep the 3 high schools and vote no on the plan. Sincerely hoping you have read Plan E, which is a workable plan. Again, I'm asking the board to vote no in your plan and make a motion to vote for Plan E.
Good evening. My name is Jason Ingram. I live at 6806 Carnegie. I'd like to take a moment to congratulate all the students that have come up to fight for their school. It takes a lot of courage to get up in front of these people. I'm shaking like a leaf now, and I'm 58 years old. I don't know if anybody's been keeping score on these last 3 forums that we have. I've tried to do the best I can. I've went back and watched the videos from the previous 2 forums that we had. The numbers I come up with, Plan 2, 13, that they stood at the mic and said, this is the plan that I want. Plan 7 was 1. Plan E, 30. 30 people said Plan E. Now, I know you hear this a lot. You hear it every day. You hear it at every meeting. You are elected to represent the people. These people came out to tell you what they wanted. night of a cheapskate. You're elected to make the decisions for them, because we all can't come to every meeting. There's people that couldn't have come tonight to voice their opinions, but the people that could have told you what they wanted. And it's clear that Plan E is what we want. We go by a majority. Just like you'll have 7 votes, you need 4 to pass. I think 30 out of all these numbers is a clear winner for Plan E. So I hope you make the right decision, and I hope that it comes out the way that the public wants, because that's what the public has told you in the majority. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Ian Clark, and I live on Buckle Road. I am a junior in Lafayette High School. And I come here speaking not of just my experiences, but everyone's experiences I have grown up with. Because I have been very privileged in my education. I have not only grown up in a family rooted in St. Joe, but also had a mother that has worked for the district for over a decade. I grew up first going to Pershing for most of my elementary career. In 5th grade, I parted way following my mother. Following her again, I went to Mark Twain. And I decided to stick with Midtown schools instead of going back to North End, and as I worried for my future at Ruby. As I had been in the gifting program since I was in 4th grade, and I had advanced classes in my middle school. And I loved the community I'd grown up with both in Midtown and in North End, as I chose to come back to Lafayette to continue my family's coming back as a family 3rd generation graduate of Lafayette. And I have loved the amount of opportunities I've had being a Truman in Lafayette. I've been able to make my own club Truman. I have been able to join the band in Lafayette. I've had a relationship with my band directors. They taught me the entire instrument my freshman year. And I'm worried of how many students will fall behind in their education, miss on opportunities like joining other clubs, creating their own, or miss out on being eligible for the gifted program as they've fallen behind in the numbers of students. Because currently Lafayette's average number for advanced classes is 20. What happens if there's 30 or 40 or there's too many slots? There's not enough slots for kids that are wanting to get in. What happens when the students who are graduating this year stay in town? Or the ones that, like me, a junior, be able to vote in our 2027 election, vote on school district issues? How will we feel if you close down, bunch us up all together? We lose our personal experiences with our teachers and families and directors and coaches. How will we feel when we have no more slots for classes we want? How will we feel when we miss out on opportunities because we were moved to a school we didn't want? I've had experiences with friends at Central because of growing up in Midtown. They were worried. They already have large class sizes. What happens when they get more? What happens when they get pushed back even farther? What happens when I have friends across the entirety of Lafayette's districts? What about, like, I have 3 friends that live quite close, that I have to walk there. Then I have one who lives near Carton Park. And if he gets moved to Benton, what will he have? He knows no one in the town. He's grown up on North Side. What will happen then? So I would like to say, keep every school open. Allow us to rewrite orders instead of just creating brand new ones for closing down schools. Thank you for listening to me.
Good evening. My name is Peyton Letterman, and I'm currently a freshman here at Central High School. I attended Bessie Ellison Elementary in Bodie Middle, and I'm here to share my thoughts and concerns with you. Consistently since the last meeting, I've heard fellow students talking to others about how they're scared because of the plans you guys have made up. They're anxious, mad, but overall upset that they have to deal with the constant question that they will have to be ripped away from their friends next year because of the decision that is in your hands. Neither Plan 2 or Plan 7 is what's best for us. Please keep our schools open. I'm honestly disappointed that your reaction to being in a financially unstable place is to immediately close schools instead of trying to find other ways to cut spending. When a family's budget gets tight, they won't just immediately go sell their house. They'll stop and reflect and try to find places where there's unnecessary spending. Because having stability is important, and at the end of the day, having a home to go to is the most important thing. Students and teachers spend 7, if not more, hours at these schools, and when you shut them down, you're not just closing a building, you're closing our homes. As a student of this district, I'm standing here begging you to stop and really reflect on your decision because this is affecting us. you're really thinking about how these plans will have an impact on all of our personal lives and you're tired of being looked at in these plans as just numbers, start thinking about how this will affect the kids of your district you say you care about. I said this last time I spoke, and I will say it again, this does not protect our education system. We're supposed to have trust that you will make the right decision for us, and listen to the people who come up here and speak. Listen to your community and what your community wants. Thank you.
Just a moment. I think that we're a little.
There is somebody in front of me.
Okay. What's your name?
Lindsay Nadler. Whitney signed up right in front of me.
We've got number 28, Hannah Rush. Oh, no, you're fine. I just want to keep it in order. My apologies, Miss Lindsay.
Okay. Well, good evening. I'm Hannah Rush. I am a parent, a taxpayer, a Benton graduate, and a member of this community who refuses to stay silent while our children are sacrificed because of this district's failures. Tonight, we're being asked to vote on plans that will reshape the future of our community. And let's be extremely clear, neither of these plans is a solution. They are both the direct result of financial mismanagement, inequity, and a blatant disregard for the voices of the people that you were elected to serve. This administration mismanaged funds for years, and now they're asking our students to pay the price for their mistakes. They are telling us we must choose between two broken options, as if we should be grateful to pick the less harmful way to harm our children. That's not a choice. That is coercion. Let's call this what it truly is, a manufactured crisis built on poor leadership and neglect. And the impact is not equal for our families and children. The proposed boundary lines blatantly favor the wealthiest neighborhoods, protecting their access to opportunity while leaving working class families and under-resourced students to bear the burden. That's not equity. That's discrimination wrapped up in policy. The division we're seeing across this community is not an accident. It is a direct consequence of this administration's actions. They have pitted neighbor against neighbor, school against school, community against community, while they stand behind a podium and pretend that their hands are tied. But they are not the ones who will live with these consequences. Our kids will and our families will. And we will not let their futures be destroyed to cover up years of irresponsible decision-making. To the board members sitting before us tonight, this is your moment of truth. You don't work for her, the superintendent. You do not work for that administration either. You work for us, the people, the parents, taxpayers, voters. We're not asking you to choose between these two plans. We're demanding that you reject both. Send them back to the drawing board. Demand transparency, demand accountability, and demand a plan that serves all students, not just the ones in the right zip code. If you pass either of these proposals tonight, you're telling us that our children are expendable, that equity is optional, that community voices are meaningless. But let me be very clear. We'll remember how each of you vote tonight. We'll remember who chose to protect a broken, corrupt system and who chose to protect our children. You have the power to stop this. You have the power to lead with courage. And if you choose not to, the legacy you leave will not be one of fiscal responsibility. It'll be one of moral failure. Our children deserve better. Vote no.
I think it's my turn now. 29?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I'm Lindsay Nadler. My address is 9998 Southeast Mitchell Road. I live about 2 miles from Bessie Ellison. I have a son who currently attends Bessie Ellison, just like his sister, just like his dad, just like his grandpa. I have a daughter who goes to Bodie, just like her dad, but not her grandpa, because grandpa went to Bessie Ellison when Bessie Ellison was an administrator, not a name on the school. Both Dad and Grandpa went to Central. Many other family members did the same. Bessie Ellison was initially annexed into the St. Joe School District because the people out there believed that this school district would take care of our kids. And I can't tell you how many conversations I've had with people wondering how to reverse that decision. Every time I have a conversation with people about this, their first response to me is, I wouldn't send my kids there. I'd go to a different district. That's why we go to St. Joe Christian. That's why we go to this school. I work at a business here in town who, every time somebody new is hired, they don't move to St. Joe. They live in the outlying areas so that their kids can go to another school district. If you believe in this town, if you believe that you want this town to grow and flourish, you need a better school district, and you need to do that by not tearing apart the families and the communities that we live in. Bessie Ellison has not just been a school for my kids. It is where they have met their lifelong friends. And with this new plan and the way that you've drawn the lines, they will be torn away from every one of those friends to go to a different school because you want merely less than 20 students that live between Highway 6 and Highway 36 outside of the city limits to go to one school while all of their friends are being sent to another. And this doesn't just affect my son in elementary school, but all the way up, because my daughter is now going to go to potentially a middle school with 800 kids that she's never been to school with before. This isn't fair, it isn't equal, it isn't right. Please do better.
Good evening. I'm Molly Puckett, a junior and a fourth-generation future graduate of Lafayette High School. As much as I would like to stand up here today and talk about keeping our 3 schools open, I can't because that's apparently not an option. So I'd like you to think about option 2B. With the data you've provided, this plan is the most financially stable and affects the least amount of students and staff. If you look back at the vote last spring, the options were for a new high school or Benton to close. The bond failed, and now we're talking about closing Lafayette. What changed between then and now? The bond failed, and Benton isn't closing. Now we see the statistics, so why? So I'm here to ask, do you really want what's best for our community? If so, vote yes to Plan 2B. When you cast your vote tonight, remember that we are the faces and the people who are affected by your vote. We are not just numbers and stats. Thank you.
Hello, my name is, my name is Jeff Lee. I work in juvenile detention in a 12 by 12 room with up to 6 to 7 residents, from simple offenders to murderers waiting to be certified as an adult. I was assigned this position. I was not asked. There were 5 of us affected, and we were moved without consideration. Moving 500 will be a nightmare. The administration's recommendation of Plan 7B shows this is not about a financial crisis. The true can being kicked down the road is segregating our lower income families when all possible from others. I don't have a problem with the people who live in a different part of town. What I do have a problem with is people who are trying to keep others out of a school for personal or financial gain in a district and potentially a school board who will support that. We have ignored experts in the community over and over. Who are we catering to? From 1995 to 2018, the number of students in our district was consistent. In 2018, despite support for a more modest levy, the district overreached and put a permanent $1.19 levy to the voters. When it did not pass, the district punished the community by closing 2 schools. The result was the largest drop in enrollment in the last 35 years, over twice as much as a drop during COVID and 5 times more than any other year in the last 20. The drop would cost over $3.5 million today. That would wipe out any projected savings from option 7B. This is far more impactful than that, causing us to lose more money than we will save. We have to consider this when we make a decision. This could be for nothing, along with the drop of attendance, discipline problems, and lower achievement. There are so many other areas we could increase efficiency. We should immediately do a personal study comparing to previous years. If our enrollment has dropped, why do we have more positions? We have more top positions and administrators than ever before. We spend more money as a district on lost or stolen laptops than in the building expenditures report for the 3 schools that we would close, over $300,000. We could save $1 million a year by switching to Chromebooks over our expensive touchscreen devices we provide. Other districts like Platte City and Lee Summit do it. That is a better change than closing a high school. This district discredited Plan E, but the plan has the ability to adapt and change. It has options that have been shared with you for every question that was asked, and they were answered. Options 2 and 7 don't answer all of those, or haven't been. They're like jumping off the cliff. There's no turning back. The crisis created an idea that you must do something now, even if it's wrong, is dangerous. The best decisions are not made under duress. This crisis moves us down a path of unanswered questions that will go down a series of worse choices. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Find a way to do the right thing.
My name is Russell Book here, and piggyback on what Coach Lee said. I didn't come to talk about that. You guys have heard me talk about the boundaries and no problems long enough, but I do hope someday, and we've wanted this for a long time. I see my buddy Mike Musser sitting over here. We've watched this forever. I hope someday that we can look back and go, hey, there's a group that finally stood up to this segregation. Because I know people want to. It's hard to do. It's hard to do. But we've watched for a lot of years that it just keeps on keeping on. I want to share with you why I'm here tonight real quick. And it's kind of my life path, my daily life path that brought me here. And my daily life path is kind of unique, and I get to see an incredible amount of people. I go to 2 or 3 schools. I try to help some kids. Lindbergh, some area up there, some other Rubenus places. Kids aren't going to school. Kids aren't behaving well. Kids aren't attending school. I do that a few hours a week. I've got a gymnasium, kind of like this, with no bleachers like this. I get to see 250 kids a week plus parents, so that's a ton. And I own a place called Brown Bear. And I get to see a ton of people there, and some of you may want to visit that tonight at some point if this doesn't go well. We will definitely help you. In all seriousness, what's happened to me in the last month, I come across tons of people. Though one of the few things I do good in life is connect with people. I'm not super talented, but I connect with people. And I've been concerned, kind of mind-boggling, the people I came across that are going to take a different path if 2 or 7 goes. 2 or 7. And I just kind of chit-chat with them. These are people from different walks of life. And they've taught private school. They've taught area schools. But my biggest concern of what's really hit me, and I had 5 of these tonight as I walked in. Sat down with Jeff and some of his family back there. The people I'm talking to have the financial ability to do this. It's one thing to say, I'm going to move my kid, and you can't do it. I've talked to literally hundreds of people that aren't going to go along with this, and they have the financial ability to do this. And that kind of worries me for our city, for our district, for everything. The second thing they've got is the want to. Their kid is the want to. You know, people are passionate about their kids. You've all in the audience watch parents do crazy stuff with their kids. Silly stuff they shouldn't have done. And they have the want to. And I'm just sitting there thinking, man, you combine financial ability and the want to, we're going to lose some serious good people. And I would ask you to seriously think about that, because I think once you make that decision and open that door, whatever door you vote on tonight, I don't think we ever get it closed again. Thank you.
Excuse me, I've got Chrisman next, Luke Chrisman. Sorry, Miss Woodbury, you're next.
Hello, my name is Lucas Chrisman. I'm a junior at Lafayette High School. In the past 3 years, I've been attending Lafayette, and I've built a family around there. But it's not just me. Everybody at their respective schools has a family of friends and teachers. It's their other home. I built bonds with students and teachers at Lafayette, and like I said, so do each student at their respective schools. The last time I was up here, I talked about the bus situation. I got nervous and I said I was done. But I'm here to talk about the rest of what I wanted to talk about. Closing one of the schools, either Benton or Lafayette, is like pulling someone away from their family, from their home. I have a few friends I know that would have issues transferring to a different school. But it's not just my friends. What are your plans to handle the special education kids? Because they don't easily open up to everybody. They have the people they work with. They've grown accustomed to it. You can't change it up on them. They will not like it. It'll be harder for them to learn than it is the rest of us. What are your plans on dealing with the people that leave your school district? Because closing one of the schools will have backlash, and people will not like to have their kids go to a different school. They will leave your school district. You have had us on our toes for the last few years with this decision, and you're still at it. In the past, you board members have tried talking about one mega school, and that instantly got shut down. You had brought it up, which makes me wonder if you guys are trying to go for that goal of one mega school, because you're trying to close schools down. At the end of last year, you board members brought up a vote on a new Lafayette school, on a new school in the South Side. However, it failed. With that failing, you were going to go with the Lafayette and Central model, which had won. And it was the backup plan if the new school had failed, which was the original plan. Why would you go back on the plan that was already voted by your community and won? People have lost trust in the Board of Directors and the Board of Education for not only this issue, but many more. Thank you for your time.
My name is Deanne Woodbury, 4110 Bennington Drive. I haven't spoken at the previous two meetings because I really dislike public speaking, but what I dislike even more is seeing my family and friends being hurt by the actions of others and people underestimating the North Side. Some people accuse me of wanting 3 high schools because of nostalgia, and that I am holding the town back from progress. What they don't know is, yes, my children are 4th generation Lafayette graduates, and my aunt was basketball homecoming queen in 1960. So there is some Northside pride involved, but I don't see anything wrong with that. It baffles me that some of you have forgotten where you came from. One of my grandmas attended Benton. I was baptized and had my first communion at St. James. I lived at 3424 Jackson, attended Blair from preschool through 3rd grade. And if truth be told, Blair was the best school this district has had, but of course it was closed. I have friends and family in all 3 high school districts. I want new buildings, smaller classes, and 3 high schools. But most of all, what I want is for it to be honest and right. It just felt wrong to complain that we were not being listened to if I were not a part of that we. So here I am. I do not know everything, and I don't pretend to.
although we would all know more if you were more transparent. We are not in as much financial crisis as you are leading everyone to believe. 14 years ago, my husband and I went to an open house in Greystone, and the second thing the realtor said to us very proudly was, "And it's Bodie and Central District." I didn't even know how many bathrooms it had yet. So the blatant assumption that either one, I would not buy it if it were Lafayette District, or two, we were from the Lafayette community, that we could not afford it. It was both insulting. I immediately said, well, then I guess it's the only thing wrong with it. Which leads me to my address. The only reason I live where I live is because my husband wanted a new housing addition, and due to constant targeted boundary changes, that was not possible. I can still see Mildy Smith telling everyone that the Webster building was in such horrible condition that it needed to close. That school was closed, and that building has been used by the district every day since then. But I would just like, you've gone about it all wrong and focused on the wrong things for the wrong people. It's blatantly apparent that this does not directly affect most of you, but I pray that the board does the right thing. Go Bessie, go Field, go Panthers, and most of all, go Irish.
Kim Drew, 6525 South 3rd. I want to start by saying I have followed this district close. Your budget, your studies, the money invested in plans. I don't want to go back to the drawing board. We've spent tens of thousands of dollars on plans that's never been offered to the community because it wasn't their plan. The gold standard is vision forward. I challenge you to look through vision forward because nowhere in there does it say they choose two schools to get rid of one. Nowhere. So you can't go by your own gold standard because it doesn't say it. But you're running the narrative, it does. It doesn't. My heart breaks for Lafayette. First of all, they had to go out on their football field to a ribbon cutting ceremony knowing that might be the only year they get to play. How sad that you did that to them. They were full of joy. Friday at 4 o'clock, thank you KQ2 for doing the sunshine request to find out what plan they're going with. So we had 500 students from Lafayette that dressed up, went to trunk or treat with a smile on their face, knowing the administration just cut their school. This is really going to sound harsh. It doesn't matter how any of you have voted in the past. It doesn't matter. How you vote tonight is going to make or break you. You're either going to be a hero or you're going to be a zero. If you don't vote for Plan E, you're not done. We will find 2 people in April that are for our 3 schools and we will put them in. Not only that, if this doesn't go in the right direction, I personally am going to the courthouse tomorrow and I'm going to file for this district to be separated. We need 2 districts. We need competition. The better districts will get all the good teachers. It'll help spending. That's how the free market works in the world. We don't have that. You're just guaranteed money. And you spend more than you're guaranteed. So tonight, you're going to make or break yourself. You're either a hero or you're a zero. And that's how they're going to vote from here on out. Thank you.
Good evening, my name is Dakota Allen. I will not be disclosing my address for professional reasons. I'm a first-year educator in the St. Joseph School District, and I have to say, when you find people who have never agreed on anything saying the same things, you know something is wrong. I think something entirely lost in this conversation is the impact on our community at large. Mosaic and St. Joseph School District are the 2 largest employers in the region, and their success walks hand in hand. As much as our community relies on them, just last week, Mosaic's CEO identified the perceived quality of the local school district as one of the #1 roadblocks for recruiting nurses and doctors. This detrimentally harms our community. Now back to reorganization. This process, dragged out over years, has been compounded by millions of dollars in budgetary mistakes, including the additional $1 million that came up in last month's board meeting that admin thought we would all just miss. Maybe it's time we cut some of those salaries before we talk about cutting teaching positions. This all has had detrimental impacts on the trust this community has for the districts. It's having very real impacts on teachers and the classroom. Without community buy-in, schools simply cannot succeed. The right questions have not been asked and answered. The community, which includes your staff, is still confused. I get it. It can be frustrating to educate. I do it every day. But if this was my classroom, you would ask me to stop, provide some clarity, and revisit the topic. It might be time to take a page out of the teacher's playbook here. We must center what matters most: teachers, students, and staff. Your teachers are terrified. They don't know what's going to happen with their jobs, their class sizes, or whether the top scoring schools getting cut are going to lose us our accreditation. Whatever the next steps are, we absolutely must move forward with transparency, and one of our favorite focuses lately, with clarity on goals and intentions. And you must provide it before we lose some dang good teachers along the way.
My name is Stacy Armfield. I live on North 39th Court. I'm a Benton graduate. I raised 5 Benton graduates. I'm a Bessie Ellison grandmother, and I'm a Webster teacher. But I'm here to fight for everyone. Smaller schools are better for kids. Neighborhood schools are better for kids. I shouldn't have to stand here and convince anyone that smaller schools are better for kids. Deep down, I believe you already know that. The research shows it, the teachers see it, and the families feel it every single day. I believe you already know that. What this community wants to know is if you care. In smaller schools, students are known, supported, and believed in. They aren't just names on a roster, they're individuals with stories, challenges, and potential. That's what makes smaller schools work. Smaller schools build belonging, they build confidence, they build leaders. When students feel valued, they take risks in learning, they speak up, they try harder. Those relationships, the ones that make learning meaningful, grow best in smaller settings. But as schools get larger, those relationships become harder to sustain. Students become data points. Teachers become overwhelmed, families lose connection, and communities lose trust. Now I want to make this personal. My grandsons attend Bessie Ellison. They live just 1 mile from their school, and yet every day they spend over an hour on the bus. Imagine that, an hour each way for a 1 mile trip. If their school closes, how much longer will that become? Is that what's best for kids? Long rides, long days, and less time with their families? If you care about that, your actions tell a different story. I'm also fighting for Webster. Webster is on the chopping block in all of your plans. I've spent 10 years at Webster in the alternative program. Every year we've had to change our focus depending on who's in charge. And every single year we rise to your challenges. But I have to ask, where will these programs go? Do these students matter? They matter to those of us who show up every day despite getting cussed at, assaulted, and threatened, because every student deserves a chance. Stop forcing virtual learning on every secondary behavior student. These students need structure, support, and in-person guidance, not a one-size-fits-all virtual program. This board has the chance right now to do right by this community, to show that you value children more than convenience. For years, decisions have been made that brought us to this point, and our families are the ones carrying the burden. When local schools are neglected, our kids suffer and our communities weaken. I'm asking you tonight to change that pattern, to remember that the strength of a district isn't measured by how efficiently it can consolidate. It's measured by how well it supports the children it serves. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jessica Wiley, 69 Northridge Drive, parent, resident, and taxpayer. I'm concerned about the district's proposed decision to move forward with option 7B. I respectfully urge you to vote no on this plan. Option 7B is not in the best interest of our students, particularly those in high school and our youngest learners in elementary school. The financial implications alone are troubling. The cost of repurposing buildings to fit new functions will be significant, and it's unclear where those funds will come from. This plan does not offer meaningful savings when weighed against the expenses it will incur. More critically, the academic consequences could be devastating. The 3 elementary schools slated for closure or conversion, Ellison, Pershing, and Field, are among the district's top performing schools. These schools are instrumental in helping us to get to the required 70% accreditation threshold. Displacing students from these environments and placing them into classrooms nearly double in size will inevitably impact performance, potentially lowering scores and risking state intervention. As a parent of 3 children at Pershing, I speak from personal experience. My middle child, who has a heart condition and has recently been diagnosed with ADHD, he faces learning challenges that require focused attention and support. Pershing's smaller class sizes allow his teachers to provide the individualized help he needs to stay on pace with his peers. In a larger classroom, that support simply won't be possible, and he, like many others, will fall behind. We must also consider the mental health and voices of our high school students. Many have already expressed their opposition to this plan, and their concerns deserve to be heard and respected. If the goal is immediate cost savings, then option 7B should be rejected with a no vote. Instead, I urge you to make a motion to vote on Plan E, which offers a more balanced and student-centered approach without the financial strain or disruption that 7B would cause. Thank you for your time, and I hope for your continued commitment to our children's education and well-being.
My name's Kathy Smith, and I live at 5520 Carish Road in the North End. I have 2 grandsons in the district. One's a junior at Lafayette, and the other is in the 7th grade at Riverview. I beg you, the board, not to accept the recommendation of the administration, and please consider Plan E. It's best for everyone. I don't know if you guys are aware, but Jocelyn Jewelers was just at Lafayette a couple of weeks ago to assist the juniors with the purchase of their class ring. It's sad these kids have just purchased a ring from a school that they're not going to graduate from. What about the kids who have worked so hard to maintain their class rank? My grandson plays baseball, and this is the year he's to start his college recruiting. What happens to him? Not every parent has the means to send their kids to college and need these scholarships to help with expenses. I also ask that you reconsider sending students into bigger environments. Please remember that these are students that were taken out of school during COVID, and many have lost their social skills due to the isolation. The bullying will only get worse, and the staff will not be able to monitor it. My daughter's been in education for 15 years. She said the hardest thing about the first year of teaching kindergarten in one of the grade schools here in the district, full of the have-nots that no one wants to associate with, which are really some of the sweetest kids you would ever meet. She said, didn't realize that first she had to become their mother, and then she said she could become their educator. Research has proven that there is a hierarchy of needs and that basic needs must be met before education needs can occur. Teachers need to have small enough classes so that they can notice who's coming to school without their basic needs being met. As you look at these numbers, please keep in mind that these numbers have a face. These are the grade school children that are crying because their teachers quit but are too young to understand why. The number of parents that now have to fight their kids to go to school because they don't want to go anymore, and parents who are worried as their kids travel across town to school and no longer have their older children to help assist in getting the younger ones home. And to those students whose mental health can't handle being in such large environments and that there are so many kids that nobody will notice, please make the correct decision.
My name is Travis Smith. I live at 1908 Blackwell Road. And first, I'd like to thank everybody in the community for coming out and making their voices heard, but especially the kids, all the kids, especially kids from Lafayette. I'm a proud graduate of Lafayette, and I know what it means. Let me tell you something. I know there's that old saying about it doesn't matter how big the dog is in the fight, it's how big the fight is in the dog. Well, you haven't seen nothing until you see the fight in the Irish. That's all I can tell you. Last night eating supper, my son, who's a junior at Lafayette, he said, "Dad, my friends, they all think they're going to close their school." And I said, "Bud, I don't know." And he says, "Dad, will you please do something to make sure they don't close my school?" I don't know what else to do other than to stand in front of you guys and ask you, how many more people have to come up here and pour their hearts out to you? How many more tears have to be shed in front of you guys? What's it going to take for you to understand the community doesn't want it? The kids don't want it. Most importantly, the kids. You guys really have, like I said last week, an opportunity to do something very special. You have the opportunity to be known as that school district that saved your community, not ruining it. And I don't even know how, after watching and hearing everybody come up here with their testimonials to you about leaving the schools open, I don't even know how you could vote to shut the school down. How? How could you do that and then even expect to be able to show your face in the community? I'm dumbfounded. I mean, I don't even know what else to say that everybody else hasn't said all night for the last 3 weeks that I've been in these things. Just please. Plan E, it's the only way to go. Stop. This will haunt you. This will haunt you forever. This is the decision that it also impacts you. There are some of you that have further dreams going on with a political career and things. You think you're actually going to get a vote from somebody in this community after you tear it apart? Get real. Please, I'm asking from a parent who's dealing with a child who's having mental stress and wondering if he's going to be able to finish his senior year in high school. Stop it. You know, I'm not standing here threatening you, but you guys are sure threatening these kids in this community. We spoke. The answer is no. Leave the 3 schools. And just stop. Just stop this.
Ms. Jones? Pat Jones, 5314 Savannah Road. If anybody would have told me a year ago that we'd be here tonight because the school board is going to vote possibly to shut 1, 2 schools down, I'd have said, no, you're kidding. But we're not kidding. This board is very, very serious. And I just want to ask the board if you have selective hearing because so many people have stepped up here tonight and said, Plan B, Plan B, Plan B. And I hope you heard them all. Because when I first heard about all this and read about it, I wasn't for any of the plans. But I am for Plan B. And as you look out here tonight, you see a lot of us white-headed people. The seniors in this city are for Plan B. And as I look at the board, I see several of you who are Lafayette alumni. That has nothing to do with this tonight. This has to do with our youngsters. And by youngsters, I'm looking at all of you right here. You're our next group of mom and dads at Lafayette High School, Central High School, and Benton High School. And I'm not going to repeat what's been repeated here time after time tonight. I'm just asking this board to take into consideration Plan B. Thank you for your time.
Hello, my name is Eliana Rumula, and I'm asking you to vote for Plan E, which is for everyone. First thing I would like to say is there does not need to be a decision made today to close an entire school. You can never undo closing one of these schools and taking away such a huge part of people's lives. I'm a senior and am student body president at Benton High School, and I spend close to 60 hours at Benton High School every single week, whether it's studying, shooting in the gym, or just sitting in my mom's classroom thinking. I could never imagine being taken out of the school I have laughed many laughs in, but also cried many tears in. If I was a part of a larger school, I do not believe that I could have been a part of so much throughout my high school years or connected so deeply with a building or a community. Additionally, while this decision does not affect me directly because I am graduating, my sisters are affected greatly with either decision. And when I say sisters, I mean my teammates and friends within Benton, because that is what this town builds. It builds families within these schools, both on the north side and the south side. I wouldn't wish the devastation I feel if Benton closed upon anyone else. I was born and raised in the Buchanan district up until 8th grade. I had friendships I had built all of my childhood, but chose to move to a school that I knew very few people, but because of how much pride my mom explained she had in Benton High School and being a South Sider, this made me want to be a part of something much larger than me. As a new student my freshman year, I was terrified to come to a bigger school. I couldn't imagine going to a school the size of many Kansas City schools that we are comparing ourselves to. In ending last year, when all this was discussed, closing and combining, Hyde had their annual carnival on April 10th. I still remember this event vividly because when I left, I sat in my car crying for over an hour because the sadness I felt for all of the kids I saw who are so innocent that have no idea they have a chance to become a number and be forgotten, compared to a name and part of a family. Why take this chance? No child is a waste, and I believe 2 high schools will create, even if it is a slightly larger chance, it still creates a larger chance to become a number, which has made me sit up at night wondering why we would even take the chance to hurt so many kids. High school and the friendships people build during this time may be the only genuine friendships they've built their entire life. I am blessed to go to Benton High School, and I am sad for my friends who might be robbed from graduating from such an incredible school. I believe Plan E is the best because it is for everyone, and won't take the chance for any little kid to become a number. Thank you.
I'm number 43, Lori Brown. I live on South 14th Street. And I think most of you have seen me here before. This is my 3rd time. Tonight I have a different sickness and disgust in my stomach. 3rd time of coming. First time I was number 27. Second time I was number 33. And now I'm number 43. The disgust in my stomach comes from the district to start with, that you have brought this on the community yourselves. From bad decisions, you've stressed our teachers, our kids, and you have put forth a plan that talks about moving thousands of kids and then disrupting all kids' lives. To the board, you should be ashamed of the district. They have brought you nothing. Right now, from everything that everybody says, your vote's easy tonight. It's a no. You don't have a solid plan from them. They have fear-mongered over money. The only responsibility to the board right now is to find out where the missing money is. We don't need schools closed. The money's there. Find out. That's your responsibility. Not closing schools. It's disgusting that they didn't even bring you a plan that anybody supports. The community brought you a plan based on their numbers from what they say. They can't even tell you a dollar amount of what it's it's going to cost to get thousands of kids from anywhere in this town. You can't do it. You don't have enough teachers. You don't have enough counselors now. Do you know how many counselors are going to be needed? You have no idea. It's sad. And it all goes back to political reasons, not the kids. Nobody thinks about these kids in any of these decisions. There's nothing that supports the kids and the scores. All you talk about is the money, and you have to make these decisions, and that's not true. I'm sorry, it's not. And we all know it. And if you can't tell me that you have one thing that they've given you that would make you vote yes. And I'm not here anybody's friend. I don't have kids in the district. But if there's anything other than a no vote, you're in bed with the district. It's that simple.
My name is Carrie Habiger. I'm 2916 Frederick Avenue. I have a daughter, Ella, who is a graduate of Central High School. I have a son, Rudy, who is currently a junior here. And my daughter, Audrey, is an 8th grader at Bodie Middle School. With the new plan you guys are proposing, you would be taking my son, who is a junior, with aspirations to play college tennis. He's been a varsity tennis player, freshman, sophomore, and will be junior year, and you're going to move him to an entirely new school. Under this new plan, in his senior year, he'd be in an entirely different athletic conference, separated from the team and coaches he's trained with for years. For any student, that's more than just a roster change. It's a disruption to their identity and their goals. Now, I know my kids aren't alone. We've heard countless stories for the entire night. My husband and I made a very intentional decision several years ago. We moved our children out of private education and into the St. Joseph School District. That decision was rooted in 2 core values: diversity and academic opportunity. We wanted our kids to be part of a school system that reflects the real world and pushes them to succeed within it. In the plan you're currently proposing, you're going to be sending kids to an elementary school at Hyde, which is not equipped to be a 9th grade center. How is this going to affect those kids going there, their opportunities academically, not to mention sports? I don't understand the boundary changes, how the lines continue to move with this proposed redistricting map. We live just north of Central, less than a mile away, walkable, but we'd be reassigned to Benton, that's nearly 12 miles away. And what's now less than a 5-minute commute becomes a 20-minute drive each way every day. We're not the only ones. That's probably a minor disruption to the countless kids that will be up before the sun rises, waiting at bus stops, and their commutes will become out. We understand that redistricting is a complex process, but it has to be done transparently and with a commitment to student well-being, not just building utilization or budget numbers. What this district has proven is that you can't maintain your budget. It's always overspending, not transparent on where the money's going, and we're tired of it. The taxpayers, the families here, we've had enough. Our students matter. Our teachers matter. This is home. Our students that come to our schools, my family's Central Indians. You've heard from so many North Enders and Lafayette. The school is home. Our kids spend more hours every day at school with their educators than they do at home. These educators are not being supported the way they should, and we've had enough. So let's take a step back and ask, this is not better for our community. And where I stand, it doesn't feel better for my kids, and I know I'm not alone. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Jo Pruitt. I I am a K through 12 graduate of St. Joe School District Central Class of 1991. I'm also a mother of a teacher and a homeowner in this district for over 30 years. I'd like to thank Robert Hedgeforth and his transparency in our financial health. All things were recognized quickly and communicated immediately to the admin, the Board of Education, and the stakeholders. We now have received some delayed title funds of over $5 million and are slated to receive another $5 million this week for a total of over $10 million added to our account. That drastically changes our 10% reserve to likely 16 to 18%. That's a good question for Mr. Hedgeforth to analyze. I urge the board to see the end from the beginning, carefully considering the staff and students and not the surveys from admin, cabinet, and team that no longer work in the schools that may close, decisions that do not affect them. Seek the staff, not the ones looking to be a loyalist for their next promotion, but the teachers who are trying to help SJSD students win. It is clear that buildings must retire, and I support that. But it's also clear to me that we first must make painful cuts to administration and be critical of excess spending. Good leaders make sacrifices they expect of others, so start in your own building. Enrollment decline. Did admin? Some facts. During our 8-year scandal, our fund balance went clear down to 4.46, and we survived. In 2024, our tax revenue was over $66 million, and due to the reassessments that happened, in 2025, we're projected to get a $5 million increase to $71 million. Board, you do not need my criticism tonight, and I'm not going to tell you which plan to pick. I'm asking you to pause. Funds are secure, and the payday comes in December. We can settle this down a little bit. Crowded buildings, total chaos and disruption is not a life hack for better scores or more funding. You have one action item before you, and you have 4 options: a yes, a no, an abstention. Please don't do that. Or silence, as it will die due to lack of motion. This does not betray or harm admin. This is not emotional, it's business. You, the entrusted, elected board members, have a duty to the public. Donors, organizations, churches, corporations, and political affiliates are not decision makers. You guys are. So decide with mindful intent, solely focus on students and staff, and know that the consequences that come are the ones that you 7 are purposely deciding for the district tonight. 4 people hold the power to affect 10,000 plus students and staff.
Hello, my name is Kenneth Reeder, and like I did the first 2 times, I want to thank all of you. You are the most important people in this room. I want to thank you. Thanks. Keep up the good work. We aren't going to lose this battle. And wow, after all this, boy, I wish I had a good joke. And I also realized that the only thing standing between us, the cold one and the Kansas City Chiefs game. I don't get it though. Why all this to beg 4 people to do the right thing? You know what's wrong with this? Like I said every time, none of us, you parents, you taxpayers, you voters, you don't need to vote on this one. But yet, in the last 10 years, we voted 4 times overwhelmingly no, no, no. Do you guys remember the American Family mega school debacle? Yes. Somebody keeps wondering why they haven't put a value on the disruption of all these lives, because they can't. It's life-altering, the damage it's going to do to the psyche of everybody in this town for the next 2 generations. Just play another thing that most people aren't aware of, all the people, different people pushing us from behind, pushing these folks. Jose and the chamber are alive for things. But you guys realize that a few weeks ago, our city council and mayor voted unanimously to do whatever they decided to do. Whether it's 2 or 7, they didn't care. they didn't want to weigh in. And by the way, I'm still needing a few signatures for petition to run for mayor at the end of the meeting. Thank you. I want to know also, when has a student been educated with a longer bus ride? Trying to figure out how that works. What does two schools do? 1/3, 1, 2, 3, out, 1, 2, 3, out, because 1/3 less of our students in this town have an opportunity to be in band, to be in theater, to maybe do sports. 1/3 less for the craziness of going with Plan 2 or 7 or however many. The best thing to do, I think, is to start over. Scrap this thing. Let's go back to educating the kids, which is what the administration is supposed to be doing. None of the board, none of the administration has the ability, the expertise, or wherewithal to come up with all these plans that are life-altering to half of our town for the next 2 generations. If it is seed,
And that's your time, Mr.
it'll
Reader.
save a lot on the have-nots and the poverty
I
discrimination.
appreciate you coming to speak tonight, Mr. Reader.
3
Thank
schools
you.
forever, forever 3 schools.
Thank you, Mr. Reader. Okay, members of the Board of Education, is there a motion to adjourn this meeting? Thank you, Whitney. Is there a second? Okay, would you call the vote, please? Yes.
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 And this meeting is adjourned, and we will open back up in 10 minutes. Thank you. Okay, guys, 2 more minutes. Good evening. I call this meeting to order. Roll call, please, Ms. Donna.
Ms. Williams?
Here.
Ms. Miller? Ms. Chesney? Ms. Burns? Ms. Lanning?
Here.
Mr. Moore?
Here.
Mr. Richmond?
Here.
I'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Okay, recognitions. If I could have all members of the board please come forward.
Good evening. I'm excited to announce and share with our Board of Education in our community our Appleseed Prize recipients. And so would those individuals please come to the front. Danielle Gonzalez, Nicole Adams, Madison Machowski, Brianna Valero, Caitlin Poe, Elizabeth Hoskins, Becky Carter, Tommy Violet, Lucy Mize, and Katie Adams. Because it's the apple seed, of course they needed a caramel apple to go along the way for them. And I want to say these educators were selected for their innovative projects
designed to enhance teaching and learning experiences throughout the St. Joseph School District. Appleseed grants empower staff to bring creative ideas to life. They foster meaningful and engaging change instructional practices. From this talented group, one educator will be named the 25-26 Innovator of the Year, recognizing exceptional creativity and the impact on student success. I'm so grateful for this team of educators. I'm also grateful for the foundation. Thank you. Audience participation. Chad O'Callahan.
I was streaming this earlier, so if the microphone cuts out, I apologize to everybody. I was at my son's soccer game in Cameron. Unfortunately, I lost that game. I had to be there instead of here to make sure that may be my son's last Irish soccer game. I have a question. You guys were posed with a bunch of information. Whose responsibility is it to validate that information? When you come to numbers, and they say, this is the numbers presented, isn't it your job to validate that information? It's not ours. When a community or anybody presents you information, this is what you need, this is what it takes, this is what you have to have. It's your job to validate that, correct? And now all of a sudden, after all these years, I get numerous phone calls and messages from family and friends. What do you mean they're shutting down schools? This is pathetic. I would like the cameras focused on you tonight, because from everybody that I've talked to the entire drive back from Cameron, all we see is faces pacifying, not engagement. Shame on you. This may be your career, your place to want to hold yourself to a higher standard and hope something else. But you're not showing it. Dedicate yourself to something that you believe in. A while ago, we said indivisible, cannot divide. I still believe in that. My last name's O'Callaghan. I bleed Irish. My family bleeds Irish. We went to the North End schools forever. I have numerous friends and family that go to the South End and went to school there. Think about what you're doing to the community. That's all I ask. Don't think about yourselves and your careers. They don't care. Think about the students sitting up there. My daughter went to school at Lafayette after being taken out of private school, and she excelled. Went from an average student to top 10. Getting her degree at Northwest, another green school. For teaching, she has a contract to come back and teach at St. Joe Education because she went through the Hilliard's program, got numerous college credits for it. I'll buy her out of that contract. That this is the way we're going to perceive our future. Think about that. We can't think about anything else other than their education, their spirit, and what it means for me in 20 years to have a decent doctor. or a decent lawyer by having a better education. I don't care about the numbers. You've excelled in the past with lower qualifications and lower dollar amounts. For 20-some years, we fought with the school district, Colgan and everybody else, how poor the school district is, how bad, blah, blah, blah. I've stuck up for you guys for the last several years. I've been ashamed of adults who haven't voted for improvement. But I'm ashamed of you. I'm ashamed of all of you.
And that's your time, Mr. Cullen.
Thank you.
Okay, members of the
I'd
board,
like to make a
approval of the
motion
agenda.
to change 8A to an informational item.
Could you repeat that? I'm sorry, will you go ahead?
I'd like to make a motion to revise the agenda to change 8A to an informational item to provide opportunities for discussion and to answer questions and concerns from the board and the public.
I have a motion, is there a second? Could you repeat your motion, please?
Sure can. The motion is to change 8A to an informational item to provide opportunity for discussion and to answer questions and concerns from the board and the public. So 8A is the facilities and district reorganization decision. I would like to change it to an informational item so that we can discuss it in more detail.
I have a motion on the floor, is there a second? I'll second. I have a motion and a second, any discussion? If there is no discussion, you can call the vote, Ms. Lana.
Slaney? I did not hear that motion. What's the motion?
The motion that I have is the motion to change 8A to an informational item.
Okay, thank you.
Well, Tanya, I guess I don't know the difference. I mean, I see the difference in position on the agenda, but does that mean we don't have a vote on the action tonight, or do we have it at the end of the?
If you move it to an informational item, it means everyone will be able to ask questions if you choose, get those answered, and there's not a vote.
And then there won't be a vote.
Because it's an informational item.
So I'll provide some context.
I'm just asking the audience if you could please calm it down so we can do business.
So I'll provide some context. I have had several concerns which I have communicated. I've had several questions that I've asked that I don't feel like have been answered satisfactorily. And so what I would like to do is for us to take more time. I'm not asking for a considerable amount of time, but I don't think that we have all the answers to make an informed decision. I don't think that we have brought the community along in the decision-making process. I don't think that the process that where we currently are has been transparent. And I don't think it's fair that we're at this point where we're going to make a decision this evening with so many plans that we're deciding. What I would like to see us do is, by way of a discussion, say, okay, of these many, many plans, including Plan E, what do we want to move forward with and what do we want to refine? I don't feel as though we have the information or we've gone through the process that we are prepared to make a quality decision for children. I don't. If everyone else does, that's fine. I'm only one vote. But that's why I've asked to move it from an action item that we would vote on to an informational item.
And the reason why I agreed with you is over the process, I realized that all of us as a board has never talked about all of these plans and an answer question among us. I mean, I know that we were given lots of information and we heard from lots of people, okay, but the board has never come together collectively and discussed everything as a board, and it makes me nervous to choose a decision of this magnitude and we haven't even discussed it.
I mean,
I'm asking.
We can take a vote and we don't revise the agenda and we take a vote tonight. I'm saying I don't have the information that I need to be able to say, yes, this is the best option. I don't have it. But if everybody else feels comfortable and ready to make a vote, I'm only one person.
Okay, well, right now we're only making a decision about the amendment of the agenda. I have a motion and a second. Any more discussion?
You know, I'm not categorically opposed to either one. It just seems to me like when we come to an action item like that, we'll have some opportunity for some discussion. And we'll also have the opportunity at that time, at the end of the discussion, to table that or to take action on it without predetermining that we can't make a decision. And so I don't know if there's a compelling reason for me to say that I wouldn't want to discuss it in the action item forum rather than just have the information. But we can vote. I'm just making a comment.
I appreciate that, Mr. Tom. Thank you. Any more discussion? If there are none, would you call the vote about the amendment to the agenda?
Mr. Moore?
No.
Ms. Williams?
Yes.
Ms. Chesney? No. Ms. Kearns? Mr. Richmond?
No.
Ms. Miller? No. Ms. Lanning?
Yes. And the motion fails 5-2. Consent agenda, is there a motion?
No, we need to.
Okay. Original question, approval of the agenda. Is there a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Rhonda. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Tom. Would you call the vote, please?
Ms. Miller? Ms. Williams?
No.
Ms. Kearns?
Yes.
Ms. Chesney?
Yes.
Ms. Lanning?
No.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Richmond?
Yes.
And the motion passes 5-2. Consent agenda, is there a motion for approval?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Rhonda. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Mike. Would you call the vote, please?
Mr. Richmond?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Ms. Lanning? Ms. Kearns?
Yes.
Ms. Chesney?
Yes.
Ms. Miller? Ms. Williams?
Yes. And the motion passes, all approved. Admin reports. Dr. Hughes?
I will be speaking to action item 8A, so I will defer.
Thank you, Dr. Hughes. Conversation.
Good evening. In October's Assistant Superintendent of Academics and Education Service report, I wanted to share with the community, I know that our academic department plan from our academic service team listed a proficiency score, but tonight's focus is on ELA. And I wanted to share with you the list of schools and their performance based on the Missouri Assessment Program in English Language Arts, and where they scored in the spring of 2025, and where we know they will score in the spring of 2026. And so, again, I'm thankful for Dr. Reed and Dr. Adams sitting down with building leader and crafting these goals together and creating action steps that would align to the work that we're leading on the academic service team. Behind that, you will find our action steps in what we lead in instructional frameworks to support all teachers, not just new teachers. And so one of the things that we wanted to share with you guys are the action steps that are the St. Joseph School District foundational practices. And we focus on really 6 key drivers, and we discuss them as the learning environment, management, the interaction between peers to peers, teacher and students building in that community, clarity, opportunities for response, and the intentional learning design. Within that intentional learning design, you will see a breakdown of the St. Joseph School District literacy guidelines. And I wanted to showcase those for you. And so you can see the breakdown where we lead in a mini lesson with some student work time. There's a reflection. Then we have personalized, differentiated small group instruction, and then the reading foundation where we focus on the science of reading. Those total instructional minutes I've spoke to a lot, but if you look at them, regardless of the elementary classroom that you are a student in, we lead from 135 on the reading side, and we flip over. We wanted to keep writing sacred, and so you will see 40 minutes of writing time with the same instructional framework. These were formed with teachers. They co-constructed this work with us, and so teachers worked, provided feedback to us, and now we're in the midst of the work in the classrooms. I also wanted to share with you guys the instructional framework. We know we don't get that in the secondary world, but the SJSC learning framework for what does literacy instruction look like in our secondary classrooms. And we decided to lead by percents because some of the numbers were off just a little bit, the number of minutes. You may have somebody that has 45 minutes and somebody that has 50 minutes. But we wanted to set a percent so that way equity could be at that piece. I also attached for your review the kindergarten observation form, and I definitely want to give a shout out to all kindergarten classrooms in leading this work and setting this up. I'm so proud of our district right now. We were at one of the highest rates in reporting the KEA, and the KEA is on the APR report. And so what we're doing right now in the work will lead to where our APR results would look like in 2026. And so we had an important deadline, and I'm grateful for Dr. Adams and her leadership on this. We only had one student who did take the assessment. It was a Moses ID switch, and so we corrected that, but we were at 99.9% completion rate on that. And so, again, 100% really, it was the Moses ID, and we got that corrected right away. I shared that in the weekly report with you as well. But I wanted to share the kindergarten observation form because we are looking at, and Ms. DeVol is, and Angie Chavez, who's an instructional coach that serves at our early learning sites. We are specifically looking at that literacy domain. And we're looking at the growth that we're seeing from our students, and I will be so excited to bring that back to you in November when we have our predictive results and our KEA data, the KOF data to support with you. But if you look at the readiness indicator number 14, the readiness indicator 15, if you go backwards, 11 and 13, they all center around those, what we call our students ready to partake in learning at the kindergarten level. Last, I want to leave you with some important dates. You know we're in the midst of parent-teacher conferences, and so October 27th through the 30th are parent-teacher conferences, and I put in the link there for you for the AMI work. We did redesign that work to align to our district resources, and you'll see an updated version of instructional resources. Those packets of classwork for those AMI days are being passed out at parent-teacher conferences. So they're giving a hard copy, and we've already linked this plan, the AMI work for our students online. Remember, October 31st, Halloween, no school post-conference. And then November 3rd is a professional learning day for our staff. November 26th and 28th, there's no school, Thanksgiving break. And then we round out December 5th with teacher evaluation, classroom observation, number 3. Are there any questions?
I just want to say thank you to the kindergarten teachers, because getting that all accomplished is a huge feat, because you have to figure out how you would entertain other children while you're taking this data, and I just appreciate the fact that they were all able to accomplish that.
Thank you, Ms. Chesney. They're the work of it. They do so much for our students, so I'm grateful for those kindergarten teachers. Thank you, Ms. Studer. Okay, Dr. Hedgeworth?
Thank you. In front of you this evening, I have the October budget amendment. In July, when we start calculating our ASBR, which our fiscal year runs again July 1st through June 30th, and we realized that we were at 10.02% operating fund balance. We started with our staff. We started working with our staff in regards to budget reduction process. And so I went into detail in the October workshop meeting about the process and how we went through identifying items that were furthest from the classroom. We worked with all the directors and principals to look at items that we could reduce for this fiscal year to get closer to a balanced budget. And so what you have on the screen in front of you is the last summary page. And that last summary page shows the areas where we are proposing the budget reductions for this October amendment. And so you can see on the left-hand side of the screen and on your page, the cuts that come from central office, which include areas of technology, Board of Education, Human Resources, special programs, Superintendent's Office, Communications, Business Office, Health Services, Nutrition, and others, come to a total of over $3.3 million out of this fiscal year, and the percentage that was allocated in total from central office. And then on the right-hand side, you have our secondary and elementary schools and the amounts that were reduced in those areas of supplies, purchase service, classified and certified staff, and then also at the elementary level and what those percentages come to. And then you have the total initial savings, and then we also have some corrections to some budget expense items for curriculum, as well as salaries and benefits. So if you go to the second document in that agenda item, you will see that there's some modifications to the values for certified and non-certified salaries and benefits. So the June FY26 budget that's proposed to you was below the areas that we're going to see in those salaries and benefits. So those changes in those salary and benefits are not any additional staffing or any additional benefits to our staff. It's simply correcting the projections for those salary benefits. So I just wanted to point that out as you start seeing what those values are on that second document, just to ensure you that the reason for the change of the amendment is really just to correct those projections, and it's not through any type of additional staffing through the district. So be happy to answer any questions at this time.
How much was that adjustment? I'm not seeing that.
It was over $9 million. So your FY26 budget underestimated salaries and benefits by over $9 million.
One of the items that I had taken issue with was...
Could you speak close?
Yeah, close to you, not a problem. One of the issues that I had taken, one of the expenses that I had asked about in the past that I had taken issue with was, I know we had talked about charitable events and us going to charitable events. I had asked about, I know that we had talked about cutting the Mosaic Ignite event out of the board budget. I had asked about the mayor's Thanksgiving dinner. Is that still in this budget?
I will have to look exactly
Could you all keep in mind, you know, that it has to be like almost on your lips.
Test. I can tell you that was cut from the Board of Education budget. We had two tables, one was on Superintendent's office and one was on Board of Education. We went down to one.
So I'm just going to share that I know it's a small item, but I think it's a point of concern for me that we would be paying for something that's a charitable event for someone else, that we are using public dollars to pay for the fundraising of someone else during our current situation. So that's one of the things that I take issue with. I'd also like to ask about the budget overage of $1 million. I had sent some questions about that. That was for the benchmark purchase. And that was, so we approved that back as an informational item, I think on May 12th. There was a presentation, and in that presentation, we referred to that we had chosen 6 years for cost savings. So then I heard somewhere else it was 3 years for cost savings. What was that initially anticipated to be? 6 or 3?
So there was a 6-year contract, and then there was a 6-year contract and a 3-year contract. We also had asked about the 1-year contract. The 1-year contract was $1,184,610.
Okay, and we had, so you all budget in each department, correct? I'm not as familiar with your process, but each department budgets, does their budget, and this item was budgeted at an installment payment, is that correct?
It's not in those budget meetings, but I can speak to the process. The process is that the business office meets with every department and then goes through the expenditures for what they're going to have for the year and kind of gives them some guidelines for what we have as far as our revenues coming in to look to balance our budget. And in those discussions, my understanding is that the business office had made the assumption that was cost to be spread over 6 years and made that assumption incorrectly. And so when they budgeted that line item for the FY26 budget, that item was below what it should have been, when it should have been for the full amount that was approved in May.
So did the business office assume incorrectly? Or did the academics department budget incorrectly?
The business office assumed incorrectly.
Hold on, you weren't here.
If we set the priority for it to be the ELA core resource, and so if I'm looking at a budget number of $1,184,610 for 1 year, I don't know how we would spread that out over 3 or 6 years.
But was it budgeted for 3 or 6 years?
In the meeting, we were in agreement that the benchmark advance was going to be purchased to support the academic infrastructure of our K-6 classrooms.
Oh, but there had to, we're not going to get to the answer, and this is where I get frustrated, because I know there's an answer. I know that there was a budget that was provided, and then we can't remember, or we don't know what happened. So on 5/12, we get the presentation. In Assembly, we get the invoice. We didn't have the contract. There's reference that it was going to be installment payments. On 5/27, I apologize. I was absent from that meeting. There were no cost questions. And then at some point, it comes out, we discover that there was a budget issue. And when was that? Was that August? When was that?
So once we saw the payment that put the budget over for that budget code, we then started negotiations with Benchmark to talk about how we could spread that over time, as the business officer made that assumption during those meetings. And when we had those discussions, Benchmark reminded us that we had a large upfront discount for that payment upfront because a lot of those materials were printed. And so those expenses are upfront to that company, and so they also needed the payment to match the terms of the quote that was there in May, because their costs were upfront. So if they would have agreed to put that over 6 years, like the business office had assumed, we would have lost that upfront discount that we received.
Excuse me, Dr. Hedrick, I have a question. Okay, so Does the business office normally make like assumptions? And that's like a strange assumption to make, that it will be paid over X amount of years. I mean, I was also under the assumption, because it was not in the budget. I guess I'm confused.
I certainly understand why the board being confused, because the budget item for that account code didn't have the full amount in there. So I understand that, and why, that is frustrating. But a mistake was made. I think it was an honest mistake that was going to be paid over a 6-year term, and that wasn't up front. So that is something that,
So I want to clarify, I am not confused. I am not confused. So what I know happened is that we approved a budget that didn't have this amount in it. I know that we were presented that there would be installment payments. There was nothing in Assembly that talked about how it would be paid. There was just the reference that it would be over time. And I don't believe that it was only the business office. I don't believe that we only knew about this in August. You forget that the people in that business office and previous staff have internet too. They can watch this. And I guess my question is, was there a conversation with Dr. Segrist that there was a concern about a budget item or no?
There was no conversation with Dr. Segrist on the concern about the budget item.
Okay, so we did not know before he left. We did not know.
It was an agreement that we were making this a priority for our academic infrastructure.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so my concerns are that and I hear what you're saying, that we needed to buy this, we bought this. We made a similar snafu with the international teacher contract to the tune of $300,000 or something to that effect. And the problem is, I hear what we say, we're like, well, we would have paid for that anyway, and we got a little, but it wasn't budgeted. So now we've cut $3 million, but we can only realize $2 million. And when mistakes of that magnitude continue to happen, it erodes the trust of the community. And so this pipe dream of going to the community and asking them for more money, when we keep mismanaging their money, I think is very unrealistic. So I also have asked about an audit. I would have preferred an audit to verify their numbers before we approved a budget. We said we were going to get that. We haven't got that, and I'm just going to be honest. I'm not going to vote for this because I'd like for there to be an audit first.
If I could talk to that a little bit. So if the board does not approve this tonight, everything that you see in here is a budget cut. And so the reason we presented this October budget revision is to reduce the expenditures. So if the board doesn't approve it, the account codes in eFinance Plus, which is our software program, will continue with the same budget codes that we have for the FY June 26 budget that is listed. So in other words, we will continue to have the higher allocations for supplies, purchase services, and everything you see on the left-hand side of that screen, but it's not approved. So I worry at that point that those items that we have talked about not spending on for FY 26 will end up being purchased through miscommunication, mistakes, saying, well, hey, my budget item in EFIN says this. Well, we're hoping to cut that with the budget amendment. So,
and I understand that, but it oftentimes feels like we don't get correct information or accurate information, or there's a mistake made, and then it's said, but we don't have time for you not to make a decision. You need to hurry up and make a decision. And I for one, am tired of operating that way, and I'm not going to. But I'm only one of 7.
Can I ask a question, Dr. Hedgecourt? Okay. In looking at the information and listening in the last meeting, I noticed that you mentioned that the error was noticed in August. Okay, but the board was told about it 2 weeks ago. Why is that?
That is correct. So when we called Benchmark, it was hoping to get some traction on getting that to be paid over time, like the assumption that was made from the business office, and we continued back and forth with those discussions. And until we realized we were going to dead end and get nowhere, that's when we notified the board. We were hoping we'd get somewhere with those discussions. And make those payments like the business office had assumed over 6 years.
I just think in the future, I think this is why it is so imperative that the superintendent and board president, and I know we've had issues there, but it is so important that you have a communicative relationship, because we should be brought along. Like, we should be brought along. Even if it doesn't happen with the whole board, it needs to happen with the board president or the board leadership to say, hey guys, this is an issue that could be coming up. This could be a problem. And then at least someone knows. And I feel like that is a failure for the past significant period of time, that we're not brought along to things, and we're not bringing the community along to. And so that communication is something, and making assumptions are things that we need to work on.
Well, I'm brand new, and I'm trying to bring transparency, trying to show where we are financially, where mistakes were made. And if you want to put that on somebody, that's me. I'm trying to learn how the board communicates, what their expectations are of me, and for that I apologize. But,
and I know you're new. I know you're new, and that's not. I realize that the problems that we are dealing with are, in some ways, they're at the previous administration, but we have a lot of people that are still here from the previous administration. So I'm on one.
Let me ask you a different question. Sure. And because I think we have such a group here tonight, we'll listen to that, and we are talking about a budget crisis. This one doesn't bother me, but we think three does. We can just discuss it. But the one that I'm curious about is the $9 million that's budgeting and salary and benefits.
Sure.
I mean, that is, we have the federal thing that now this has come through. We understand with the capital projects, and I believe we've taken corrective action. Not to reverse it, but to fix it. But how are we in a position that our salaries and benefits are $9 million over budget?
yeah, so it had a lot to do with what we were estimating before. We would pull those numbers out of eFinance Plus, again, which is our financial accounting software, and do some projections through that. Well, once you pull data out of a system, that data is not live anymore. And so those projections, as you have employee movement, people retiring, new people coming in on different steps, that data is quickly old and not current. And so we need to be able to do all of our projections in eFinance Plus. We've been working hard with our human resource department and our business office to make sure all of our position control within eFinance Plus is accurate and correct. So that way we can do iterations within that software program. We can look at different things like adding steps for teachers, what it looks like if we add certain amounts of the salary schedule, and look at each iteration of what that might be. So we worked hard to clean that up to this date. So when we start having conversations with our salary and benefits committee of what those things would cost based on certain scenarios, which we call iterations in the software program, and so, that is a process we're going through right now to try to fix those issues that we've had in the past, because the board needs accurate information to make accurate decisions. And
so one quick follow-up question, and thank you, Dr. Hitchcock. What is the that's the bond issue or a levy or the community agreed to fund increases for teachers. And it's been a little bit confusing to me. Is the amount that we collected, or is it a timing thing, or have we exceeded what the bond allowed for?
Right, so you're referring to the Prop C waiver.
Yeah. So that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, the Prop C waiver closely funded what that add was to the salary schedule. It truly was just making inaccurate estimate on what the impact of that was and what was.
So it wasn't enough to fund what was given for increase.
It wasn't. But you were already headed on a decline reserve ratio percentage from the previous year of over $10 million in deficit spending. And so even though that didn't pay for itself, there were no adjustments made to correct that, so you had another $10 million in deficit spending, which a lot of it also came from the HVAC purchasing Fund 4 that I talked about before. And once that Fund 4 went in the negative, we had to transfer money over from Fund 1 to make sure that Fund 4 went in the positive, and that drug down our reserve ratio.
Thank you.
Could you also explain about the audit process?
Absolutely. Yes, so Linda Quinley will be here November 10th at our board workshop. She's continuing to have conversations back and forth. She came on site a couple weeks ago to have discussions with myself and others in the business office and to take data away from the office to investigate, one, how we got in the current financial situation, and two, provide some suggestions of things we can do better in the future. So we've had good conversation over the last week, and she's dug into things and had different questions of, why were numbers presented this way, and I've answered the best I could from my perspective, especially for this fiscal year. And then she'll be here November 10th to present that information to you. And then you can be happy to ask her any questions at that time when she's here during that meeting.
I have another question about the process. And so when Linda Quinley comes and looks at the information, if there were like any errors, any issues, she'd let us know about that then?
Yeah, so what she has done is pulled all of our ASBR data for the last 5 years, and she's also looked at past audit reports, and then also asked questions about different procedures and processes that we do, our budgeting cycles, how we look at estimating different expenditures, what type of variances we have, and what the acceptable amount of variance should be. When you're doing that June budget, you don't know your tax rate, you don't know your enrollment, you don't know what your assessed valuation is going to be. But as your October comes around, you know those things. So yes, you're going to be more off in June for your variances, but as you have budget amendments along the way in October, February, April, you should be narrowing down to be more precise as you go. And so that's something with an October budget that I'm trying to show is, we need to be precise with our salary benefits, and that number that you see that I presented is going to be much more precise with how we're going to end this year.
Because we're in the middle of the process, do you think it'd be easier to wait until after Linda comes?
If you're going to ask me what's fiscally best for the district, I think it's important to approve this budget amendment now so we can get all the budget amounts updated in eFinance Plus, so people see that those budget cuts are in place, and that way they know exactly what they can spend for their supplies and purchase service. Because if I was asking you to increase expenses, then I can understand, but all I'm asking here to do is correct the amount we're going to have for salary and benefits based on current staffing. There's been no additional staff members added, and then ask for the $3.7 million in budget reductions that we've done with the team, and then correct the curriculum account code for benchmarking.
I think that my issue is that I'm kind of leery about everything now, and it's nothing against you. I know that you knew, but there are some major issues, and so, I'm just kind of leery about everything. I just like reassurance.
I guess I would just ask you to look at my track record and let that speak for itself.
And at the end of the day, this is a budget reduction. 87.8% is from central office, and then those cuts would be reflected in our budgets. We need to cut costs, so I don't know why we would proceed with trimming our budget.
As I mentioned, and I'm not arguing against a reduction. I'm just leery about our numbers right now. And with everyone in the community watching, normally it's my name that's on the line. And so I'm just nervous about anything until we have outside eyes looking at it to reassure us, that we're actually using accurate information as we move forward.
Does the incoming audit help?
So KPM, so two parts, if you're talking about our official audit, that's from KPM that we presented in December. And then Linda is doing a presentation November 10th at the work session. Okay.
I just want to make sure I understand. So, in the meantime, if we don't approve these budget cuts tonight, people who go in and look at what the amount of their budget is could potentially be inaccurate, and they could be they could be having expenses that will not reflect the budget cuts. Am I understanding that correctly?
Correct. So all the numbers in Finance Plus right now are based on that June preliminary budget that you approved. And so no numbers are changed until the board approves. Even if we have, agreement from different departments and principals, those numbers cannot be changed until there's board approval.
Let me ask another question. If we approve this tonight and we find out in the audit or as the year goes on, subsequent things that impact the budget, either positively or negatively, do we have other opportunities to adjust the budget to keep it up to date?
So I'll bring you a February budget amendment as well, and one in May or June to finish up the year.
If she came back with significant things that affected the budget from the November 13th, do we have the opportunity to have a corrected budget in November?
Absolutely. We could have a second amendment at that time. If she had something on November 10th that you wanted to address, I could bring a November budget amendment for that November board meeting.
So I see very low risk in terms of us approving this tonight with the idea that we could, if we find out additional information, we can change that at that time.
Right. And I can understand some wariness of some people. I get that with the history. But since these are all budget reductions, that's why I'm asking for us to move forward now so we can make sure we get that in place, because it is going to take some time. I think this is one of the biggest changes we've had between the June and October budget, of making so many changes in our financial system to make sure we update everybody that uses those budget codes to be able to track their budget as they go through the year.
I move to approve.
I'll second it.
I have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? There's no motion, call the vote, please.
Williams?
No.
Miller? Jesse?
Yes.
Kearns? Lanning?
No.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Richards?
Yes.
And the motion passes 5-2. Next.
Let me go back to the agenda here. So the next item that we have, and I just switched to the June budget 1 second. So we have approval of bills. Be happy to answer any questions that you guys might have.
Make a motion to approve bills. I have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, any discussion? Okay, would you call the vote, please?
Yes.
Mr. Richmond?
Yes.
Ms. Kearns? Yes. Ms. Lanning?
Yes.
Ms. Miller? Ms. Chesney?
Yes.
Ms. Williams?
Yes. And the motion passes all approved. Next, Dr. Hitchcock.
Yeah, so the next thing we have is September financials, and there's something that I wanted to point out in this financial report. I've changed the way it's organized to help give a little bit better guidance on tracking how we do for the year. So in the past, we used to have just Fund 1 and 2 on the first page, and then all the funds listed individually. Well, I feel like you need to see the whole picture about our operating funds. So when you look at our reserve ratio, it is a function of Fund 1, 2, 5, and 6. So when you think of Fund 5 and 6, don't think of it as a separate fund. It is a sub-fund of Fund 1. It is named different and organized different financial situations so you can track our activities and then also our health care. So 5 and 6 are actually a sub-fund of 1. So that way I have 1, 2, 5, and 6 together. So that way you can see the exact numbers of our operating fund as we track throughout the year to see how we have realized the percent of our budget. So now when you look at that first page, you're going to see 18% of certified salaries have been realized for this year. Where before you didn't have the other funds in there, to be able to see that as a function within our operating fund budget. Funds 1 and 2, 5 and 6 are operating fund. You have debt service, which is Fund 3, which can only be paid for our debt, and you have Fund 4 as capital projects. So we made that change to try to help let you see and track what we've realized for the year. Now, please note that the numbers that you see in there for FY26 budget are the June FY 26 numbers. They are not the October budget amendment because that has not been approved yet. So we don't put those new numbers in there for the FY 26 budget until they're approved. So if you do approve, which was just approved, so next month, you will see those new October budget amendment numbers to then be able to track those percentages much more accurately. So we also list those below as well, individualized, so you can see them individually to make those determinations in your tracking. So I feel like that will help us as we go through the year, be able to see if we're going to be over or under budget in our expenses and revenues, and see how we're tracking. So I just want to point out that change as you look at your September financials.
That's a really good improvement because we have been caught off guard in the past where we looked like we were tracking okay, but it didn't have the whole picture until it was late in the year.
Right. And then something else I want to point out, certified salaries, when we make our June payment, there are 2 months that are paid there. So when we make that final June payment, that pretty much is double what you're going to see in May because they pay June and July and June. So if we're tracking, if you see 92, 93%, you're not tracking okay because you're going to have that double month payment from last year. So I just want to point that out as we get closer to June.
So that's what's going to be my question. At 18% now, that would include the month of August and September, 2 months?
Correct.
And so that's 9% a month.
Correct.
And 9% a month times 12 is 108%.
Right. So that FY 26 budget, that number is under what it should be. And so I asked us to reflect what those truly will be in that October budget.
Okay. I thought I had it.
Right. So on certified, when you say FY 26, see how it says $61.5 million. You can see on the October budget amendment that I have asked us to change that to $63.6 million.
You know, is it unreasonable to add a column because of that confusion that we had last year with the June payment to add a target percentage realized budget next to that?
Yeah, so we also have a cash flow document where we take 2 previous years and then put the numbers in before, so it can show when you hit this month, this is pretty much what your target percentage spend would be. So we can definitely put a targeted spend on each of those. Now, it's hard with purchase services and supplies because most people buy their supplies up front and they don't spend the time. But when you look at salaries and benefits, those are paced out month after month because our staffing stays pretty consistent except for a couple of moves here and there during the year. And so, especially on the salary and benefits, we can definitely do that. Purchase services and materials, we can put that in there, but that's going to be a little more looser depending on if the principal spends their money up front or waits till kind of the middle of the year to spend those funds.
I think the salaries are the one I'm most interested in because of that offset that somehow caught us by surprise.
And salary and benefits are 75% of our expenses, so if there's one you want to make sure you track correctly.
So if we had an indicator, we use this as an indicator of are we on track or not.
Right.
And exceptions of not being on track, then we can talk about. But I think that would help the board know are we tracking that goal.
Sure, I'll be happy to have that comment. Any other questions on September financials?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? If there are none, would you call the roll, please, Ms. Turner?
Ms. Williams? Yes. Ms. Miller? Ms. Chesney? Ms. Chesney?
Yes.
Ms. Kearns?
Yes.
Ms. Lanning? Yes. Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Richmond?
Yes.
And the motion passes, all approved. Okay, Mr. Brown?
All right, thank you. The personnel report and supplemental reports have been submitted for your review. The personnel report is located on assembly, and the supplemental is in your packet at your stations. Nothing major to report on either report. Don't have any questions. I ask for a motion for approval.
I'd make a motion to approve.
I have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? If there are none, would you call the vote, please?
Ms. Williams? Yes. Ms. Miller? Yes. Ms. Chesney?
Yes.
Ms. Kearns?
Yes.
Ms. Lanning? No. Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Mr.
Good evening. Thank you all for hanging in there with us. We have been talking about facilities for many years, and many of you probably know that. Back in 2010, we had the PACT group. Not that long ago, we had Vision Forward. We've gone through so many community engagement processes over the years. On September 4th, the board directed administration to look at two high school models. One being a central Benton model, and one being a central Lafayette model. We have done that work. We have gone and looked at those numbers, provided the data, answered questions, and provided a recommendation based on that directive. We recommended option 7B. That was the majority of our district administration team. The reason behind that is because we believe that would set us up best for the future to possibly have a new high school in North and to have future growth and progress in our community. That being said, we honestly just want a plan. Any plan. We would like to move forward and the board choose any plan so that we can do that. And I will ask if our team has anything else that they would like to add.
I agree with that.
Then I'm ready to make a motion.
Wait a minute, please. As you and I were discussing this, you asked me if I would give every member of the board an opportunity to speak about the process and their thoughts, and I would like to begin that right now, but we can start.
Okay, I'd be happy to. First of all, I want to thank everyone for coming. I appreciate the passion for our community, and I appreciate the passion for our schools. I've been in St. Joe my whole entire life. Apparently, I've had a very boring life. I have been a student in Humboldt Elementary. I have been a parent of children in our district. I've been a teacher in our district. I never in a million years ever dreamed I would be on the Board of Education. That certainly wasn't my life goal, but here I find myself. My entire career has been given to children. My teaching career was to children in title buildings, so I understand when we talk about children that I really take offense a little bit to the term have-nots, because those children have a lot. They have perseverance. They come to school despite all the things that happen to them at home, and they come to school and they learn despite all of that. I have a heart for those children. I wouldn't change my teaching career for $1 million. I love this community, and what I want for this community is the best education as a community we can give our children. Our children deserve the very, very best. My grandchildren go to Topeka to high school. I see what happens there. That particular school district is charging their families $300 for their children to be able to ride a school bus. That's not an option here, nor would I ever ask that. My other children go to Kansas City to school, and so I'm able to see what that school district looks like. I've also been really honored to be able to go to other districts for other things that I do in my educational career, so I've seen lots of different schools. There are lots of things in other schools I really, really want for the children in our community. So here is my hope as we all sit here tonight with passion for our district. My hope is that it doesn't end tonight. How are we as a community wrapping around the most vulnerable children in our community by mentoring them, by volunteering in the schools? How are we doing that? I really am listening. I've taken notes on every meeting we've had. I tallied what I hear people saying because I really do want to listen to this community. I also want to speak to the teachers in our district because I was one of them. I also know a lot of teachers, and I work with them on a regular basis because of my job at Missouri Western educating future teachers. And I just want to say to them, thank you, thank you, thank you. You take Missouri Western students into your classrooms and you mentor them and you support them and you give them the best opportunity to be the best teacher that they can be, and I want that to continue. It is really, really hard to be in this position when I know so many people in our community because I've been here the whole time. I want what's best for everybody. When I looked and tried to figure out what the heck I wanted to do, I looked at everybody saying, I want my school, we want change, but I want it to be somebody else changing. So to think that I can please everyone, I can't, and that's not my goal. My goal, and I've thought about this a lot, trust me, I've lost a lot of sleep, and I've lost a lot of meals because I take this very serious, as do lots of other people on our board. But what I want for our community is what is best for our children. And I am willing to do what is best. I am willing to listen. But here's what I have to have in return. I have to have a community that continues to support our children like we have the 3 meetings that we've had. I want to see our community really embracing those neighborhood schools and going in and doing all the volunteer stuff that you have to do, the background check and all that, because sometimes it's not easy to be able to be a volunteer, but that's what I'm begging from you. I want the 200 children that are still sitting on an early childhood waiting list that only have one opportunity, birth to 5, to have their permanent brain develop the rest of their life. I want those children to be able to have a place to go so that they can start their learning out and be successful right out of the chute as they continue their education career. So I'm thinking about how to figure out how we can make that happen for all the children. I am a Lafayette grad. I believe green. I understand where you're coming from. I have one daughter who went to Central, another daughter who went to Benton. So I've experienced all 3 schools. And the last thing I want is to lose the schools in our community. That is the very last thing. Because that is hard, and I truly understand. Thank you, students, for being willing to come. Thank you for sticking around instead of just leaving. I appreciate that in you. So, and I think I just really do love our community and love our schools, and I really want you to know that we have administrative people that have also come up through the ranks of our school district who have worked and worked and worked to be able to create the plans they're creating based on what we've asked as a board, and I can genuinely tell you they also have a heart for children. Nobody on this board and nobody on our administration team sought out to do something that was going to be harmful to children because we just don't operate that way. So I appreciate you coming. I appreciate you sticking it out as we continue to have our conversation, and we will make a decision tonight because I, in my right mind, cannot make you wait any longer. That is not fair to anyone. Uncertainty is worse sometimes than figuring out what the end result is going to be, so we will be making a decision tonight.
Thank you, Rhonda. Mr. Mike?